The vast emptiness of space shimmered as the Valaxian ship emerged from dimensional space, its crystalline structure catching starlight in impossible patterns. Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth exploration vessel Prometheus watched through narrowed eyes as the alien vessel approached, its very existence challenging human understanding of physics. Multiple energy signatures detected. Lieutenant Raj Patel reported from his station, dark eyes fixed on the holographic display. Their power output is, it's off our scales, Captain. Chen nodded, her silver-streaked black hair pulled tight in a regulation bun. At 45, she'd spent her entire career preparing for first contact. But nothing could have prepared her for this moment. The alien vessel's surface rippled like liquid crystal, and suddenly their bridge was filled with a projection of the Valaxian commander, a being composed of geometric patterns that seemed to exist in more dimensions than human eyes could process. How quaint, the aliens' thoughts resonated directly in their minds, dripping with amusement. A species still bound by crude matter and linear time. I am High Commander Zextal of the Valaxian Confluence. We've been watching your fumbling attempts at faster-than-light travel with great entertainment. Dr. Maya Patel, their chief physicist, bristled at her station, but maintained her composure. Chen shot her a warning glance before addressing their visitor. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth exploration vessel Prometheus. We seek peaceful dialogue and scientific exchange. Crystalline laughter echoed through their minds. Scientific exchange. What could you possibly teach beings who mastered 15-dimensional space before your species learned to make fire? As Zextal continued their condescending monologue, Dr. Patel noticed something odd in her readings. The Valaxian ship's dimensional signature showed strange fluctuations, patterns that shouldn't exist according to their own boasted mastery of higher dimensions. Your quantum theories are equivalent to a child's crayon drawings, Zextal continued. Though I suppose we shouldn't expect more from beings still trapped in physical forms. We will permit your species limited access to our outer trading posts. Perhaps in a few millennia, you'll evolve enough to be of interest. After the transmission ended, Chen turned to her chief physicist. Dr. Patel, you looked like you saw something. Maya's fingers flew across her holographic interface, complex equations spinning in the air. Their dimensional mechanics are inefficient, Captain. They're using brute force to tear through space-time, like using a sledgehammer to perform surgery. There's something fundamental they're missing. Explain. The universe isn't just three-dimensional space plus time, Maya continued, pulling up a complex mathematical model. It's more like a fabric with natural folds and seams. The Valaxians punch through these layers with raw power, but these readings suggest there might be a way to slit between them instead, natural intersection points where the barriers between dimensions are thinner. Like finding the seams in reality itself, Raj added from his station, showing similar patterns in his own scans. Exactly, Maya nodded. Their supposed mastery of higher dimensions is like someone claiming to be a master tailor while ignoring the actual structure of the fabric. Their arrogance has made them blind to a more elegant solution. Chen studied the swirling equations, a small smile playing at her lips. How long to develop this theory? Months, maybe years, Maya admitted. But Captain, if we're right, we could revolutionize dimensional travel. We could develop technology that makes their methods look as primitive as they claim ours to be. Chen turned to gaze at the Valaxian vessel, its crystalline form still radiating smug superiority. Send all this data to Earth Science Command, highest priority. The Valaxians think we're primitive animals fumbling in the dark. Let's show them how dangerous it can be to underestimate humanity. As the Prometheus began its journey home, Chen reflected on the encounter. The Valaxians' mockery had stung, but they had given humanity something far more valuable than their respect. They had given them motivation. In their arrogance, they had revealed secrets they didn't even know they possessed. Set course for Earth, maximum speed, she ordered. We have work to do. The Prometheus's quantum drives hummed to life, carrying them back toward Earth. But this time, they weren't just carrying data. They were carrying the seeds of a revolution that would shake the foundations of dimensional physics itself. The Valaxians had dismissed humanity as primitive beings bound by physical forms, but they would soon learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology, but in their ability to see possibilities where others saw limitations. The game was about to change, and the Valaxians didn't even know they were playing. 6 months after humanity's first contact with the Valaxians, Dr. Maya Patel stood in a facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching reality itself ripple like water. The massive underground complex, designated Project Symmetry, hummed with energy as experimental equipment probed the boundaries between dimensions. "Run the simulation again," she instructed her team, watching as holographic displays filled the air around them. The latest test showed quantum particles slipping between dimensional planes with unprecedented efficiency. Dr. James Morrison, their theoretical physicist recruited from CERN, manipulated the controls with practiced precision. Dimensional intersection point holding stable at 98.7% probability, he reported, his Australian accent clipped with concentration. "These natural gateways, they're everywhere, Maya. Like a cosmic subway system that's been there all along." General Diana Santos watched from the observation deck above. After the Prometheus's encounter with the Valaxians, Earth's governments had united behind this project with unprecedented speed and resources. The aliens' mockery had wounded humanity's pride, but more importantly, it had revealed a crucial weakness in their supposedly superior understanding of the universe. "The Valaxians aren't wrong about their technological superiority," Maya explained to the general, gesturing at the swirling mathematical models. "But they're like someone who's mastered breaking down walls without ever discovering doors. They're so focused on forcing their way through dimensions that they've never noticed the natural pathways between them." Morrison pulled up another display showing the complex network of dimensional intersections they'd mapped. "These points exist everywhere in space-time, General. They're like cosmic ley lines, places where the barriers between dimensions naturally thin. The Valaxians burn massive amounts of energy punching through reality, but we found ways to simply step through these natural doorways." Their discussion was interrupted by a priority alert from their long-range sensing array. Lieutenant Raj Patel, who had transferred from the Prometheus to head their monitoring division, rushed into the room. "Dr. General, you need to see this." The main display shifted to show a region of space near the edge of Valaxian territory. Something was wrong with the image, as if reality itself was bleeding at the edges. Streams of data scrolled across secondary screens, showing readings that defied conventional physics. "We detected this distortion 2 hours ago," Raj explained, his voice tense. "It's growing exponentially, and the Valaxian attempts to contain it seem to be making it worse. Their dimensional brute force approach is actually feeding it somehow." Maya studied the readings, her expression growing increasingly troubled. "This isn't just a dimensional anomaly," she said, manipulating the display to highlight patterns in the data. "It's as if something is systematically unraveling the laws of physics in that region. Something intelligent, something that understands dimensions in ways even the Valaxians don't." "Could this be a natural phenomenon?" Santos asked, leaning forward to study the disturbing patterns. "No," Morrison shook his head. "These patterns are too orderly, too purposeful. Something is causing this deliberately, something that makes the Valaxians look as primitive as they think we are." "How long until it reaches their core worlds?" Santos demanded. Raj consulted his data. "At current expansion rates, less than 3 months. If it maintains this pattern, it'll reach Earth in 5. The facility grew quiet as the implications sank in. Whatever this thing was, it threatened not just humanity but the Valaxians as well. Their mighty civilization, with all its dimensional mastery, seemed helpless against it. "We need to accelerate the project," Maya declared, already pulling up new simulations. "The Valaxians' brute force approach is clearly making things worse. Our method of utilizing natural dimensional pathways might be our only chance." "You'll have whatever resources you need," Santos promised. "Every physics lab on Earth, is now at your disposal. Just tell us what you need." As the others left to begin preparations, Maya remained in the lab, studying the dimensional intersection map they'd created. The Valaxians' arrogance had prevented them from seeing these patterns, but now something far worse than arrogance was coming. Something that moved through dimensions as easily as humans move through air. She pulled up the latest designs for their prototype vessel, designated the Terra Nexus. Unlike the crystalline ships of the Valaxians, this one would be built around principles of dimensional harmony rather than brute force. Its hull would incorporate materials specifically engineered to resonate with the natural frequency of dimensional boundaries. "You're still here." Morrison's voice made her jump. He handed her a cup of coffee, settling into the chair beside her. "Thinking about what's coming," she admitted. "The Valaxians have had thousands of years to perfect their technology, and we're trying to leap beyond them in months. That's exactly why we might succeed," Morrison argued. "They're locked into their way of thinking. All their experience, all their advancement, it's become a cage. We're starting fresh, seeing things they've been blind to for millennia." A notification flashed on their screens, another message from the Valaxian trade outpost. Ever since the anomaly had appeared, their tone had grown increasingly less condescending. Their latest communique actually requested technical consultation with human scientists, though they couldn't quite bring themselves to ask for help directly. "They're scared," Maya realized. "Whatever this thing is, it's completely outside their experience." "Good," Morrison said grimly. "Fear might finally make them willing to listen." Deep beneath the mountain, the prototype Terra Nexus began to take shape. Its design violated dozens of principles the Valaxians considered fundamental to dimensional travel, yet every simulation showed it working more efficiently than anything they'd built. While they forced their way through the walls of reality, humanity had found the doors. But time was running out. The anomaly continued to grow, consuming Valaxian outposts one by one. Their mighty ships, capable of tearing holes in space-time, proved useless against something that seemed to exist in all dimensions simultaneously. Their desperate attempts to stop it only seemed to make it stronger, as if it fed on their brute force manipulation of dimensional energy. The race was on, and the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. The Terra Nexus hung suspended in its construction bay, its hull gleaming with an otherworldly sheen that seemed to shift between dimensions. Dr. Maya Patel watched through the reinforced observation window as automated systems applied the final layers of quantum-resonant materials. After 3 months of round-the-clock work, humanity's answer to the Valaxians' dimensional arrogance was nearly complete. Final resonance testing is showing green across all frequencies, Dr. Morrison reported, his hands dancing across the holographic controls. The hull's quantum structure is maintaining perfect harmony with the dimensional intersection points. Maya nodded, fighting exhaustion. They'd worked without rest since the dimensional anomaly had first appeared, watching as it methodically consumed Valaxian outpost after outpost. Their mighty civilization, which had once mockingly dismissed humanity as primitive, was now facing an existential threat they couldn't comprehend. A priority transmission cut through their systems. Another message from the Valaxians. High Commander Zextal's crystalline form materialized in their command center, their usual geometric perfection showing signs of instability. "The anomaly has breached our secondary defense perimeter," Zextal announced, their mental voice stripped of its former condescension. "Our most powerful dimensional weapons have no effect. We request immediate consultation with your scientific teams." General Santos stepped forward, her expression carefully neutral. "Of course, High Commander. We'd be happy to share our research on dimensional intersection points and harmonic navigation." The crystalline being flickered with what might have been irritation, but they couldn't afford pride anymore. "Our analysis shows the anomaly will reach our core worlds within weeks. Whatever insights your species has gained, we are prepared to listen." As Maya began explaining their discoveries about natural dimensional pathways, she noticed something strange in the background of Zextal's transmission. The space behind them seemed to warp and twist, as if reality itself was coming undone. "High Commander," she interrupted. "What's happening behind you?" The Valaxian's form shimmered with alarm as they turned to look. The distortion was spreading visibly now, reality fracturing like breaking glass. Impossible. The anomaly wasn't supposed to reach this sector for days. The transmission cut off abruptly. Raj's monitoring stations erupted with alerts as sensors detected a massive dimensional disturbance. "The anomaly's rate of expansion just tripled," he reported, his voice tight. "It's as if it's learning from each Valaxian attempt to stop it. Their defensive measures are actually accelerating its growth." Maya rushed to her station, pulling up the latest data. The patterns were becoming clearer now. The anomaly wasn't just destroying reality, it was rewriting it, imposing new laws of physics that neither humans nor Valaxians understood. "We need to launch now," she declared, turning to General Santos. "The Terra Nexus isn't fully tested, but we're out of time." "The hull resonance calibrations aren't complete," Morrison protested. "If we push it too hard, then we'll adapt." Maya cut him off. The Valaxians' rigid adherence to their perfect understanding of dimensional physics is exactly what's failing them. "We need to be flexible, to work with the natural flow of reality instead of against it." Santos studied the data feeds showing the anomaly's accelerating expansion. "How long until it reaches Earth?" "At its current rate, 2 months, maximum," Raj answered. "But if it keeps accelerating, launch preparations begin immediately," Santos decided. "Dr. Patel, you'll command the mission. Dr. Morrison, you'll be her second. Choose your crew within the hour." As alarms began sounding throughout the facility, Maya returned to the observation window, studying the Terra Nexus. Unlike the crystalline perfection of Valaxian ships, their vessel embraced a more organic geometry. Its hull was designed to flex and flow with dimensional currents rather than punch through them. "It's not about raw power," she murmured, touching the window. "It's about understanding the true nature of space-time." The next 12 hours passed in a blur of final preparations. The crew, a hand-picked team of physicists, engineers, and dimensional theorists, ran through emergency procedures and contingency plans. They all knew this was humanity's only shot at survival. As Maya stood on the bridge of the Terra Nexus for the first time, she felt the ship responding to the dimensional currents around it, like a sailing vessel sensing the wind. The Valaxians had built their civilization on the belief that higher dimensions must be conquered through force. Humanity had taken a different approach. They would navigate the natural flows of reality itself. "All systems online," Morrison reported from his station. "Dimensional resonance fields are stable. We're as ready as we'll ever be." Maya took her place in the command chair, feeling the weight of 2 civilizations' futures on her shoulders. "Begin launch sequence. Let's show the universe that sometimes the most elegant solution isn't about having the most power. It's about understanding the true nature of the problem." The Terra Nexus hummed to life, its quantum-resonant hull beginning to sync with the dimensional intersection points that surrounded them. They weren't going to fight their way through reality like the Valaxians. They were going to dance with it. As the launch countdown began, Maya couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The Valaxians had dismissed humanity as primitive beings trapped in physical form, but that very physicality had given them an insight their crystalline mockers had missed. Sometimes the most profound discoveries come from seeing with fresh eyes. The fate of 2 civilizations now rested on a theory that defied everything the Valaxians thought they knew about dimensional physics. But as the Terra Nexus prepared to make its first dimensional transition, Maya felt a strange certainty. They weren't just testing a new form of space travel. They were about to reveal a fundamental truth about the nature of reality itself. The Terra Nexus slipped through its first dimensional transition like a fish through water. There was no violent tear in space-time, no massive energy expenditure, just a graceful passage through one of reality's natural seams. On the bridge, Maya watched as familiar space gave way to something entirely different. dimensional resonance holding steady at 99.8%, Morrison reported, his voice tinged with awe. We're using less than 2% of the power a Valaxian ship would need for the same transition. The view screens showed their surroundings from multiple dimensional perspectives simultaneously, where Valaxian ships forced reality to conform to their understanding. The Terra Nexus adapted to reality's natural flow. Streams of data confirmed what their simulations had predicted. They weren't just traveling through space, they were harmonizing with it. Multiple Valaxian distress signals detected, Raj announced from his monitoring station. Nearest sources, it's their capital world, Doctor. The anomalies reached their core systems. Maya nodded grimly. Take us in. Let's show them what dimensional harmony can do. The Terra Nexus navigated the higher dimensions with unprecedented precision, sliding through natural intersection points that the Valaxians had never even noticed. As they approached the Valaxian capital, the true scope of the crisis became apparent. The anomaly loomed before them like a wound in reality itself. Where it touched, the fundamental laws of physics began to unravel. Valaxian ships, their crystalline forms blazing with power, fought desperately against the encroaching chaos. But their brute force attempts to stabilize space-time only seemed to accelerate the breakdown. They're making it worse, Morrison observed, studying the readings. Their dimensional weapons are like throwing gasoline on a fire. The anomaly is feeding on their power. Open a channel to their fleet, Maya ordered. All frequencies. The bridge screens filled with the image of High Commander Zextal. Their crystalline form was noticeably distorted now, edges blurring as reality itself became unstable around them. Your arrival is noted, humans. They transmitted, their mental voice strained. But this crisis is beyond your primitive understanding. Our most powerful ships can't. Your power is the problem. Maya interrupted. Look at your own readings. Every time you try to force reality to comply with your understanding, you're strengthening the anomaly. We need to try something different. She gestured to Morrison, who transmitted their sensor data to the Valaxian fleet. We've mapped the natural dimensional currents in this region. The anomaly isn't just destroying reality, it's rewriting it. But it can only do that when the existing dimensional fabric is disrupted, like by your weapons. Zextal's form flickered as they processed the data. These patterns, impossible. Our understanding of dimensional physics is absolute. These currents you describe have been there all along, Maya finished. You've been so focused on mastering dimensions through force that you never noticed the natural order underlying reality itself. Watch. She nodded to Morrison, who initiated the Terra Nexus's primary systems. The ship's quantum-resonant hull began to glow as it synchronized with the dimensional currents around them. Where Valaxian technology fought against the natural flow of space-time, their ship became one with it. Dimensional harmony achieved, Morrison reported. We're detecting all 14 primary intersection points. 14. Zextal's transmission rippled with shock. That's not possible. Our most advanced theories only account for 13 dimensional planes. Maya allowed herself a small smile. That's because you're trying to understand dimensions as separate layers to be conquered. We've learned to see reality as it truly is, a single interconnected fabric. The 14th dimension isn't another layer. It's the space between all other dimensions, the harmony that connects everything. As if to emphasize her point, the Terra Nexus began to emit a subtle resonance that spread through surrounding space. Where it touched the anomaly, the breakdown of reality slowed, not through force or power, but through harmony. The anomaly, Raj reported, excitement creeping into his voice. It's responding to our dimensional resonance. The breakdown is stabilizing in areas where we're reinforcing the natural dimensional currents. On screen, Zextal's form had lost all pretense of superiority. How are you doing this? We're not doing anything to reality, Maya explained. We're working with it. Your ships try to impose order through force. Ours maintains order by supporting what's already there. The natural dimensional currents are like the immune system of reality itself. We just have to help them flow properly. Around them, the anomaly's advance had slowed to a crawl in areas where the Terra Nexus's resonance strengthened the natural dimensional fabric. But the effect was limited to their immediate vicinity, and the anomaly stretched across light years of space. We can stabilize this region, Maya transmitted to the Valaxian fleet, but not alone. Your ships have the raw power we need, but you have to stop trying to force reality to obey you. Work with us. Let us show you how to sense these currents, how to support reality's natural order instead of trying to dominate it. There was a long pause as Zextal consulted with their commanders. The Valaxians had built their entire civilization on the principle of dimensional mastery through power. What Maya proposed went against everything they believed about the nature of reality itself. Finally, Zextal's transmission returned. Teach us. Time became meaningless as the Terra Nexus led a desperate effort to save reality itself. What started as a single human ship teaching the Valaxians about dimensional harmony had evolved into something unprecedented, a fleet that combined Valaxian power with human insight, working together to heal the fabric of space-time. Dimensional Resonance Network is holding at 94% efficiency, Morrison reported from his station. Around the Terra Nexus, hundreds of Valaxian ships had modified their crystalline structures to amplify and channel the natural dimensional currents. Their once rigid forms now flowed with an almost organic grace. The anomaly's advance has stopped in all stabilized sectors, Raj added, his hands flying over his controls. But the affected areas are still massive. At our current rate, full stabilization will take months. Maya studied the swirling patterns of dimensional energy on her displays. The Valaxians' powerful ships, once focused on tearing through reality, now served as amplifiers for the Terra Nexus's harmonic resonance. But even as they made progress, something about the anomaly's behavior troubled her. It's adapting, she realized, watching the patterns shift. Every time we stabilize a region, it learns from our technique. It's not just destroying reality. It's studying how we repair it. High Commander Zextal's transmission cut through their thoughts. The Valaxian leader's form had changed over the past weeks, their once rigid geometric patterns now flowing in sync with the dimensional currents. Our long-range sensors detect a new pattern forming at the anomaly's core, they reported. It appears to be communicating. The main screen filled with streams of data, complex mathematical sequences that pulsed through the dimensional fabric itself. Maya's eyes widened as she recognized the underlying structure. It's not random destruction, she breathed. This whole time, it's been trying to understand how reality works, like a child taking apart a machine to see how it functions. Morrison leaned forward, studying the patterns. These sequences, they're similar to our dimensional harmony equations, but vastly more complex, as if it's trying to rebuild reality using our methods, but at a scale we can barely comprehend. All ships, hold position, Maya ordered. She took a deep breath, then did something that would have been unthinkable months ago. Terra Nexus to Anomaly Entity. We recognize your patterns. We understand what you're trying to learn. Let us help you understand. For a moment, nothing happened. Then reality itself seemed to shiver as a response came, not in words or thoughts, but in pure mathematical concepts that blazed through their sensors. It's curious, Morrison translated, working frantically to process the incoming data. It's showing us its own understanding of dimensional physics. It's beyond anything we've ever imagined. Through their shared dimensional link, Maya felt the entity's vast intelligence unfold. It had been drawn to this region of space by the Valaxians' constant dimensional violations, their brute force methods creating ripples that attracted its attention. But humanity's approach, working in harmony with reality's natural patterns, had shown it something new. We offer an exchange, Maya transmitted, her voice steady. Share your knowledge with us, and we'll help you understand how to work with reality's patterns instead of breaking them down. There's no need for destruction. We can learn from each other. The response came in waves of pure mathematical beauty. The anomaly's expansion stopped completely as the entity focused its full attention on their exchange. Through their sensors, they watched in awe as it began to repair the damage it had caused, using techniques that combined its vast understanding with the principles of dimensional harmony they had discovered. Remarkable. Zextal transmitted, their mental voice humble for the first time since they'd met humanity. In all our millennia of advancement, we never imagined. We were so certain we understood everything. That was the problem, Maya replied softly. The moment you think you understand everything is the moment you stop learning. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our physical form. It's our willingness to admit how much we don't know and to keep looking for new answers. Days stretched into weeks as the entity worked with them to restore the damaged regions of space. The Valaxians' mighty fleet, once dedicated to forcing their will upon reality, became a network of harmonic amplifiers supporting the natural flow of dimensional energy. And through it all, knowledge flowed both ways. The entity sharing insights that would revolutionize their understanding of physics, while learning from them the importance of working with reality's patterns rather than against them. Finally, as the last damaged sector was restored, the entity prepared to depart. But before it left, it shared one final message, not in mathematics this time, but in concepts that resonated through every mind in the fleet. Understanding comes not from power, but from harmony. Evolution is not a climb to perfection, but a dance with possibility. You have taught us this. We will remember. As they watched the entity depart through dimensions they could barely perceive, Maya turned to find Zexal's projection studying her with their new, more fluid form. We owe humanity an apology, they transmitted. We thought physical form was a limitation to be transcended. We never understood that it was your connection to the physical world that helped you see what we had missed. Maya smiled. Every perspective has value, High Commander. That's another lesson humanity has learned over the centuries. It's not about who's more advanced. It's about what we can learn from each other. The Terra Nexus hummed softly around them, its quantum-resonant hull still in perfect harmony with the dimensional currents they had discovered. They had set out to prove humanity wasn't primitive, but they had achieved something far more important. They had shown that true advancement comes not from dominating nature, but from understanding and working with it. Set course for Earth, Maya ordered, watching as the Valaxian fleet prepared to escort them home. We have a lot of new physics to explore. The stars stretched around them as the ship slipped gracefully through reality's natural seams. Humanity had entered the galactic stage as a species dismissed as primitive. They would go forward as pioneers of a new understanding, one that saw the universe not as a force to be conquered, but as a dance partner in the endless evolution of knowledge and understanding.